Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Sharon with Statuesque by Sharon. It's good to see you all today. Hey, listen, I wanted to talk about faith, and I want to encourage your faith and encourage my faith as well. You know, we're all going through some phase of something at any point in time. We've talked about this before, where we're either in the fire or we just come through the fire and need to do some recovery from that process, or we're getting ready to go into the fire and feel ourselves gearing up for it. So wherever you are, I think this word will serve as a piece of inspiration to you. But I wanted to talk about just trusting God. You know, in a previous video, I shared how I am applying faith in a way that I can understand it better, which is my hope is in the Lord to do for me what I know he said he would do and is able to do. I believe that he has the power to do precisely what he said he would do and is able to do. And I am trusting him to do what I'm hoping he will do, what my hope is in him for, and what I know and believe that he is able to do. I trust him to do that for me. And so that is how I am applying faith for my journey and for my walk. And I have heard recently, this has been probably, I've noticed it maybe a few months back, and for some reason it kind of caught my spirit. Have you ever heard someone say something, it just kind of catches your attention, but it's more than your attention, it's like down in your spirit and you're trying to figure out, what's that? And so I tend to, after a while, when it keeps happening, I'll stop and explore it because I feel like God is trying to, get my attention with something. But I've been hearing lately that how God will bless you through other people. Like when God answers your prayer, it's going to come through people. And I don't dispute that because it's happened for me, before. But I just start thinking, but God, what about in times when we don't have anyone to talk to? Then what? Like, what if someone's in a situation where they're new, they just moved to a particular city and they don't know anyone there, and they're in a situation where they need something, I don't know, housing, or they just need finances, or they need a job, or they're having trouble on their job, or whatever the case is. Problems are unlimited, right? And so whatever the scenario is, and let's say they don't have any relationships where they can turn to someone and tell them what's going on, well, then how are you going to bring a blessing through someone to that person when nobody knows that person, when nobody really knows that that person is there, when nobody is around that even really greatly cares? Because these days you don't always have people who really care about you and your well-being. I mean, if you do have that, please thank God right now for it, because everyone does not have that. People have others, who know or want to know what's going on in their lives, but everyone does not have someone who cares about what's going on in their lives and cares enough to try to help them through it. So if that does not cover you, then thank God for your fortune. And if that does cover you, just thank God anyway that he is with you. All right. I believe that's the reason why you're even watching this channel right now, because you do still believe and trust in God regardless of your personal circumstances. But anyway, I was trying to figure out, well, God, what about those people who don't have anyone to talk to? How, if you don't have anyone to tell what's going on, then how are if you bless us through other people, how are other people going to know to deliver a blessing to us from you? And so what God showed me, I was trying to think of some issues, some situations in the Bible where that kind of happened that would answer my question. And God reminded me of the lepers in the Bible. I wrote it down. It's in 2 Kings, the 7th chapter, starting at verse 3. And you might be familiar with this story, but there was a terrible famine in the land in Samaria. and the Syrian army had surrounded Samaria, so they weren't able to do any of their trading or get goods, and services into the city. And it was just a horrible, horrible famine that had lasted a very long time. The famine was so severe that the people, first of all, they were dying, left and right, but those who were still alive, they were selling donkeys' heads for $1, to eat. They were selling thimbles of dove's dung. In other words, excuse my French, but dove's poop. They were selling thimbles of dove's, excrement, just to eat. That's how severe this famine was. And there were 4 lepers who lived outside the city gate. So, leprosy was a very severe disease, and it was highly, highly contagious. It just ate away at your skin and your flesh, and people would lose fingers and limbs because of the severity of it. And so there were 4 lepers who lived outside the city. And when this famine hit, they were affected by it because, I'm figuring that either someone would, like, maybe out of their generosity, leave food outside the city gate for them to come and eat, or at least there was maybe garbage that they would pick through, and try to find food to eat. But when the famine hit, there was no food for them to eat either. So one day they decided to do something crazy. They decided to go to the Syrians' camp, this big, bad Syrian army, and go to their camp and ask for help. Now, can you imagine the Syrian army, these professional fighters, seeing these 4 Sumerian lepers coming to them and helping them? I can't picture that, but the Sumerian lepers were that desperate. And so they figured, well, we'll go to the Syrian army and ask them if they'll help us. If they do help us, great, we get to live. But if they don't help us, well, we'll die anyway, because what choices do we have? We can't stay here because we're certainly going to die. We can't turn around and try to make our way back into the city because they're dying left and right. They're starving. There's no help for us in the city. So since we can't turn around and go back, and since we can't stay here where we are because this is not sustainable, the only choice is to move forward. And moving forward seems incredibly terrifying and scary, but if they kill us, we would have only died anyway. So let's just take a chance. Well, God honored their courage. He honored their faith in making the choice to just move forward, because there were no other choices. Turning back was not a choice. Staying where they were was not a choice. And so they moved forward. And in moving forward, as they started their journey, now listen, this is important, because it's not as they were talking about, well, maybe we should go, I don't know, let's think about it a little more, and what's going to happen, and what are our logistics, and well, you go first, no, I'll go first. It wasn't until they actually started out on their journey moving forward that God made this thunderous sound. The Bible says it sounded like it was coming from the very treetops, and it was just thunderous. It sounded like, millions of horses galloping, and the Syrian army became afraid. This big, bad, professional, fierce army, they said to themselves, well, the king of Samaria, he must have hired 2 armies, the Egyptian army and it was another army, the Hittite army perhaps, I don't remember exactly, but they were so panicked that they thought that the Sumerian king had hired these 2 opposing armies to come and fight the Syrians. Now, that makes no kind of logical sense, because they were impoverished, they were destitute in Samaria. So how was the king even going to get word to the Egyptians in the first place? Because the Syrians had Samaria surrounded. There was no way for anybody to get out of Samaria in the first place. But in their panic, because of this roaring noise, they just, made the assumption that two opposing armies are coming after them. And so all of the Syrian army ran away. And in running away, they start stripping off their armor and leaving swords and weapons and clothes and belts and everything, leaving that behind so that it would not impede them in running away. Well, by the time these four lepers, creep into the Syrian camp, they go from tent to tent and don't find anyone in this vast, place, this whole area where the Syrians had set up their army. And from tent to tent, there was not a soul to be found, but they found horses and donkeys and all the cattle. Because, you figure you have to feed this big old army. So there's going to be a lot of cattle and sheep and goats and a lot of bread and other foods and stuff to keep them fed. There's going to be a lot of money and weaponry and shields and tents and everything that makes up tents, the tents are made out of, and the contents of those tents, blankets, and just all kinds of stuff. And so because of these four lepers' courage to just step out, even though it sounded crazy, they stepped out in desperation to try to get some help. God honored their faith. And he caused the Syrian army to run in fear, which caused Samaria, the entire city of Samaria, to be saved, to be rescued by way of these four lepers who took the chance on doing something that seemed outside of the box. Because, to live in the box, they would have just died with the rest of the people in the city, or just died anyway, living outside of the city. So they took a chance and moved forward. All of this to say that I think that in terms of receiving a blessing from God, a breakthrough from God, even when we don't have people to talk to help us, keep your trust in God and do what he says to do. And when he says to move forward, just do it and don't try to question it. Don't try to figure it out, because, when God tells you to do something, usually it's very strange. Usually it seems like, God, wait a minute, you want me to do what? How is that going to work out? But if you don't try to question God and wait for him to give an explanation and just do it, you'll see that, wow, wait a minute. This did work out, and God is the only explanation for it. And when you share it with other people, they themselves will say, God is the only explanation for it. And they'll want to get to know God for themselves because of your testimony. So I just want to encourage you to not be afraid of the fact that you don't have someone to talk to. Don't be afraid that you don't know someone who can help you, or who is willing to help you, or is willing to help you without strings attached. Don't be afraid that you are in a predicament where all you have and everything you have is the Lord. When all you can do is look up and say, God, please help me, because I don't have anyone to talk to. I don't have anyone to ask. I don't have anyone that I know to even pray with me or for me. I mean, for real, someone who is not going to just, weaponize my circumstances. Lord, just please help me. My faith and my hope is in you. I want you to not be afraid if that's all that you have, because, let's not say God is all we have. Let's say God is everything we have, because he is far more than enough. And if he saved and rescued the lepers that way, in such a way that they felt compelled to save Samaria and let the whole city know, wait, y'all don't have to starve like this, because there's all these goods out here, just come and get them. God can do the same for you. God is limitless in his ability to help you and in his ability to help me. So I want us to not be afraid of trying to, don't let our fear of trying to figure things out, nothing is making sense. Don't let that stop us from looking to God and just trusting him, because chances are you're in a predicament where God is not allowing you to figure it out, because then you'd be able to share his glory. And God is not going to share his glory with you or with me or with anyone else. All you'll be able to say is God did it. But you're not going to receive it unless you trust him to do it for you. And if you need something like right now, if you need something immediately, trust God for it and keep your heart open so that you can hear his instruction, hear his direction, hear him tell you what to do, where to go, what to say, what not to say. But everyone will receive some kind of instruction, some kind of direction, and don't question it. Just do what God is telling you to do. And in the meantime, trust God to take you through whatever he's going to take you through, knowing that he is with you. If he's walking you through the fire, he's there with you. God doesn't just throw us into the fire and say, hey, I'll meet you on the other side of this. No, he walks with us through it, okay? He hovers over us. He undergirds us. He surrounds us. He fills us to overflowing as we keep taking a step forward. So I want you to join me in continuing to trust God to come through for us and to just make his presence known for us so that we can in turn make his presence known through us to other people. All right. So I hope that this helps someone just be encouraged to take another step forward and to know that it's okay if you don't have people to talk to about your circumstances. Talk to God, because he is far more than enough. So I hope that you have a blessed day or evening whenever you are seeing this. And again, this is Sharon with Statuesque by Sharon. I love you all. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.